closed. We now get to the supervisor's comments, which is actually the 2024 State of the Town. Andy's leaving for it. I want to thank you all for being here tonight for my final. I'm going to turn this way because you guys already know all what's going on. State of the Town. Tonight is my final State of the Town, and it will be the last time I have an opportunity to stand before you and present our accomplishment and goals in a formal annual address. I began this tradition 15 years ago, and I hope it's one that my successor continues because it is the bedrock of open and transparent government. There's been no better way to connect with residents than to stand up in front of the community and report directly to you. Over the years, transparency has been the hallmark of my administration. Whether it's the State of the Town address or the public budget forums, I have always encouraged residents' involvement in our town government, and I believe that should continue for years to come and well beyond my time here as town supervisor. This address marks the journey, this address marks the beginning of my journey's end as Glenville Town Supervisor. And I wanted to start with a heartfelt thank you to all the residents who have offered me so much support and great encouragement over the years. It's been a great honor and one that I'll always remember fondly. We've been through a lot over the past 15 years, and I'm proud to say the town of Glenville is in phenomenal shape. We are strong, we are growing, we are vibrant, and we are fiscally sound. Looking back over our 15 years together, I can report that we are in significantly better shape than we were when I first began. I'm going to take a few moments. This may take a little while because I'm trying to wrap 15 years up here, but I'm going to take a few moments to talk about some of our accomplishment over the years, over this past year, and what we hope to achieve in the next year. This town, first and foremost, has always stayed under the tax cap, and it is the only municipality in the county, including the county, to do so without ever using gimmicks. And I'm proud of that fact because it took a lot of fiscal discipline to do that. We reduced our debt from $23.1 million I inherited in 2010 to now just $8.6 million. That's a reduction of 63%, and that alone has helped us deal with out-of-control expenses that we face, like runaway health insurance premiums and big retirement payouts over the years. We created a dedicated capital reserve and a dedicated debt reserve account that helped us make historic investments in our parks, our commercial corridors, our neighborhoods, all while making sure there was no impact to the taxpayer. We created a fund balance policy that allows the town to use sound fiscal principles to guide our decisions and not just the whims of any one individual looking to use money for giveaways or to try to paper over a difficult budget. Additionally, we reduced the use of our fund balance usage from $1.33 million, which I inherited in 2010, to now just under $380,000 in 2023. That's a 70% reduction, and that has helped us stabilize our budget, and that has brought us back from the brink of fiscal ruin back in the early 2010, 2011 area. We improved our sales tax agreement, and I want to note that we have Michelle Osterlitz from the County Ledge here tonight. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for being a partner in the sales tax agreement that we're able to achieve. But it was Glenville's leadership, I do want to point out, and strong advocacy for our residents that finally got the county to agree to a fairer share of the county sales tax for all communities within the county. We fought and won for a greater share of the county sales tax. This was an epic fight. It was a historic win for our taxpayers, and I'm proud that Glenville led that fight. And we've always kept Glenville the lowest tax municipality in the county, and I'm proud of that as well. This past year, I'm happy to report that our levy, our tax increase rate only went up by less than 1%, half of our 2% allowable that we could have done. But even with this modest increase, The tax rate stayed exactly the same since 2020 for folks in the village who pay at the town portion of the tax bill. That has stayed the same for 4 years, and we are just $5 more for town outside the village than it was in 2020 over those 4 years. And when you think about that, all of that, despite historic challenges posed by COVID, and then the record inflation over the years. This year, we'll continue to see massive pressure on our budget from issues like runaway health insurance premiums I just talked about, increases for inflation, and one of the biggest threats that we see in our operation, something we refer to as wageflation. Wages are getting very expensive, and the town cannot compete with the private sector. As the town grapples with these issues, I remain dedicated to my ongoing pledge to never break the tax cap, to continue to reduce our fund balance usage, to cut our debt, and to continue to deliver core services in an efficient and affordable manner. Only through careful management have we gotten to this point, and only through the continued fiscal discipline can we stay in this position. Tonight, I report that this is the condition I leave to this board: historically low debt, an extremely healthy fund balance, a capital reserve, a low tax rate, and an expanding tax base. It will be the stewardship of this board from here on out that will ensure that our progress over the years continues to endure. One of the many great accomplishments of this team over the last 15 years has been the massive investments we've made in the quality of life of projects across this town. We have, working together, transformed this town from a sleepy, often forgotten about place that was just a pass-through from Schenectady to Saratoga Springs along Route 50. We've transformed our town center, a place that was once known as Gasoline Alley, to a place that people now can actively choose to live, work, and play, and want to invest in. These investments could not have been made possible without the strict adherence to the fiscal principles that I talked about earlier. Recent highlights include the design and coming construction of the Van Buren pedestrian path right here on Van Buren Road. It's a $1.2 million project that we're investing in our community, $610,000 from grants, and that will link Town Center, all of Town Center commercial corridor, to our parks and our trail systems, and will link two great neighborhoods, the Bigwood St. Stephen's neighborhood with Woodhaven. Of course, we need to mention Town Center beautification, where really everything began. Over the years, we made major investments in sidewalks and streetlights and multimodal paths to Woodhaven, a town clock, which I took a lot of criticism for, and a lot more. This has spurred economic development, however, in the town's most important commercial corridor, and brought millions of private sector investment in new stores, thousands of new jobs, and finally gave our residents a place to shop and eat. We turned a dark, empty corridor into a vibrant, thriving place of commerce, and that took a team. I want to thank, and I cannot give enough credit to, Ray Gillen and Metroplex, our economic development team here at the town, which includes the planning department, all of our staff, the planning board, and the ZBA. Working together in a shared vision, we were able to accomplish many, many things. One of the great community events that was born out of my early promise on my very first campaign in 2007 when I ran for town board was to create a town-wide event that celebrates our town, our businesses, and its people. With the hard work of people like Sid Ramatar and Vicki Hillis and others, and all the volunteers and employees and local businesses make this happen, we launched Glenville Oktoberfest. This is a town event, but has grown into the region's premier festival, and I'm eternally grateful for all those who made that happen today. This past year, we completed the final stages of the town's 3 school district, 2 county, 2 town, and a village grant that brought money in to finally build and create sidewalks to schools in 3 districts. We built sidewalks at the O'Rourke Middle School in Burn Hills, the Sack and Dog Elementary School in Scotia Glenville, and we nearly got to Glencliff Elementary School in All Plaus if it wasn't for Saratoga County stopping that progress. But make no mistake, again, I'm proud to say, the town of Glenville was the leader and the sole reason that there are sidewalks in these communities today. After 40 years of inaction, the town led the way We got it done. We worked together with all these different communities, and our children and our residents are safer today because of it. Recently, we completed the Scotia Glenville Hudson Mohawk Bike Hike Trail. It's a long name and hard to say. It is along the river, which connects the town to the village and to the city in a 3-mile continuous loop around the river. I want to thank the village for their partnership in that. We have trustee Justin. Justin, I'm sorry, I know your name, but it lost me for a moment. When you get to be my age, Justin Cook from Scotia, I want to thank all your hard work and the folks in the village on that. But that is a nice project that we're going to have a 3-mile loop around the river. Our parks is another area where we made major investments to help improve town residents' quality of life. In my tenure, we've expanded the park system, and we added 40 acres of new parkland into through two new parks: Legacy Park, which is a park dedicated to our veterans, and Anderson Park, which houses our dog park and trails that connects to Indian Meadows. We created an innovative new program called Solar for Parks. This was the first program in the state, and now copied by other municipalities, to drive investments in our park projects. We collected nearly $500,000 in new money for capital projects within our parks that did not come from our residents, but rather from developers of solar parks, solar farms. We created a dedicated parks department, and we dedicated new employees, adding 4 positions, and now provides a 7-day-a-week presence in our parks. Our employees are there 7 days a week now for our residents. We improved our residents' experience within the park by paving and extending park roads. In Melwick Park over the years, we've added an adaptive playground, new pavilion, concession stand, bathrooms. We brought utilities to the park for our sports leagues. We created a pedestrian path, built a second entrance to facilitate better flow for our residents, our visitors, and our sports leagues. In Indian Meadows Park, we launched a summer concert series. We added new pavilions, made major field improvements, and invested in paving there as well. Specifically in 2023, and one of the most proud projects that I think the town has, is we recently built the Legacy Park, or in the process of building the park, but we did complete the trails, finished the 18-hole disc golf course at Indian Meadows, and constructed a perimeter path around Melwick. We've secured a $180,000 grant from Congressman Tonko to further develop Legacy Park. This year, we plan to build an outdoor stage at Legacy Park for public presentations, veteran events, and to house the town's summer concert series. In Indian Meadows, we will build new dedicated pickleball courts this year, pave the interior roads, build new roads and parking lots for our sports leagues. In Sanders Preserve, we'll make improvements to the trail system, and in Melwick, we'll finally construct the town's boat launch. I want to thank Vicki Hillis for all her work in all of these projects, Tom Coppola as well, and all the employees who have worked so hard on these projects over this past year, and what we expect for this year as well. I'm particularly proud of the support we gave our seniors through programming at the Senior Center. Over the years, we've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into the center, and we've helped enhance programming to our residents. I'm extremely proud of the town's response to COVID and how we rallied as employees, volunteers, and concerned residents with a multitude of programs designed to protect our seniors during such a difficult time. Additionally, we supported the expansion of the building to help create and house additional programs for those seniors. And in 2023, we made additional improvements to the building, and in 2024, we budgeted money to invest again in the Senior Center with a new HVAC unit and funding for a new roof. Infrastructure has been an ongoing challenge for all municipalities, and no exception in Glenville. But over the years, we've made major improvements to our town's water plant, better protecting it from floods and upgrading the safety of our town's most precious resource. This past year, we completed our remote meter read project that saves money and helps the town be more efficient in the meter read program. In 2023, we also secured 2 major water contracts that will bring the town revenue, protect our residents from future increases, and it helps to keep rates stable for our residents. The first contract was with Scotia. and it was historic. It protected our residents from unfair charges. We believed in their water rates. It provided some stability for our residents going forward, and it helped keep the Scotia budget intact. This was the first water agreement between the town and the village, and it was one of the many, many signs of our strong partnership working together as two communities. I want to thank you for that as well, Justin. The second contract was with Clifton Park Water Authority, and it was lucrative. It opened a new market for us for our water. It secured a long-term commitment from Clifton Park, and it will bring us over $4 million into our water system, which will help offset resident rates and help in our needed investments within the water system. We also made moves to protect our residents by joining a class action lawsuit to receive funding to install PFAS filtration systems. Although DEC has determined our water supply to be within acceptable limits and safe, I believe the board believes, any PFAS in our system is too much. And we will do our work to ensure that we get our fair share of resources to help purchase the infrastructure needed to eliminate these chemicals from our water supply. I'm being told the award that Glenville may be in line for is over $1 million, and that will help us buy the carbon filtration system needed to take the PFAS out of our water. We also made the important step of bringing town water into the Business and Technology Park. This is a $1.4 million project. It includes $273,000 in grants, $200,000 from ARPA money that will be used to help our fast-growing Business and Technology Park continue to grow. Perhaps the most unknown success story of the town of Glenville is in the Business and Technology Park. And again, I need to thank Metroplex for all their leadership in making sure that we redevelop that park. The businesses there, however, though, needed lower rates for their water and higher water pressure to meet their needs. And this move will help further secure even more investments in the park, bringing even more jobs and expanding our tax base. But now it's time to make those major investments and upgrades to what is a 60-year-old system that is starting to show its age. As such, we've authorized an engineer to design upgrades that will require an estimated $5.5 million in investment in our water plant. This massive investment will help us increase our pumping capacity, modernize the water treatment plant, and make our water supply safer. And of course, over the years, we've invested millions to replace obsolete highway and DPW equipment and added additional resources to our neighborhood paving projects so that our neighborhoods were paved at a greater rate than what the state allowed in the funds they provided us. We got that money from capital reserves to help ensure that we resurfaced a record high number of neighborhood roads. In our police department, we've made major investments in equipment, personnel, and programs. Most recently, we've constructed a firearms training range for our officers. We added over the recent years 4 brand new police positions. We created 2 new school resource officers, one for Scotia Glenville School and one for the Burnt Hills Boston Lake District. And we created a red light school bus program that will finally punish those stupid enough to pass a bus with its red lights flashing. This past year, we funded body-worn cameras with a grant for our officers to help better protect them when they're in the field, and we will deploy those in the coming weeks. In an attempt to address employee wellness, we sent multiple officers to officer wellness training and funded to retain a clinical psychologist in the event of a critical accident and the potential aftermath for our members involved. One of the chief's major goals is to achieve accreditation for our police department, and he and his staff have been working on that for a while now. Part of what has held this up, however, is the governor's unwillingness to release the $1.5 million that the state promised to us over 7 years ago. That money was to be used to upgrade our facilities, make the department safer, achieve gender equity in our locker rooms, and make the investments needed to achieve accreditation. I'll address that more in the town hall section of this address. Over the coming years, as Councilman Gillooly mentioned, we're expecting to see 4 retirements. This will place a tremendous operational strain on the department. The chief, the board, and I are dedicated to filling those vacancies quickly, but the eligible candidates on the civil service list is dwindling, and laterals are becoming harder to come by as bigger agencies are taking from smaller pools of applicants. Further, any new hires need to complete 6 months of training in the academy, which only starts in January and July. So any new hire at this point would not be available until next year. So we'll be under great operational stress, and we'll address that in the coming year. But I want to take a moment to thank Chief Janik for all his leadership in the department, for his innovative programs, for his care of his employees with the new wellness programs, and all that you've done to lead that department through all the changes that it's seeing and will see. So thank you for the great work. Now, obviously, we have to talk about Town Hall, because what would a state of a town be if we weren't talking about Town Hall redevelopment? So the question of a new Town Hall has lingered for many years. We've talked about it for many years. As I just said, 7 years ago, the state awarded us $1.5 million to upgrade our police department, but still, we have not received that money. After waiting on this money, after enduring the pandemic, after waiting through high inflation, we're ready for a decision. This March, I will ask the town board to make a choice. 3 options will be contemplated. The redevelopment of this site will contemplate 2 options, and the fourth and then staying in this building will be another option with upgrades, and the fourth will be doing nothing is always an option. The board has studied this for years. We are prepared, we are ready, and we will take the next 2 months to finalize our plans and make a decision. We can no longer make our staff wait for important upgrades and safety enhancements to their workspace. And I would like the residents to understand that we were methodical in our decision. The town's debt is about to fall again in 2025 with a large chunk coming off. That will make room for this project with no additional impact to the residents. So as it turns out, this is a timely opportunity for this decision. So residents, I know, are saying the water plant's $5.5 million. The town hall will probably be $7 or $8 million. But we're losing debt that is going to take the town hall. We'll replace that. And we've got revenue from Clifton Park to help offset the $5.5 million. So we are finding other ways other than affecting the residents to pay for these projects. Economic development. Perhaps nowhere in this town's growth and success has it been more obvious than in our economic development strategy. Now, we've already talked about some of these successes, and we will be here for a long time if we talk about them all. We created numerous programs, however, that I'm proud of, I want to just mention, to support our small businesses in particular, including the town's local development corporation. We created something we call the Ready Grant Program and the Micro Enterprise Grant Program. We launched unique and aggressive programs through COVID to help keep our small businesses open and operational, and we delivered tremendous support from our town, and not only to our town businesses, but to our village businesses. And look around, there's so much more we can talk about. But in particular, this past year, I'm proud that we awarded 11 local businesses grants totaling $260,000, and almost half of those were Scotia businesses. Another example of our great partnership. We updated our codes to protect our residents from overdevelopment of hotels, apartments, and solar fields. We expanded our building department staff and added software to that department to make it more efficient. We assisted Adirondack Beverage with infrastructure upgrades so that they can provide business upgrades for themselves, and we approved a new expansion at Belgioso Cheese. Each of those projects adding more tax base and new jobs to our town. We were awarded $135,000 grants to finally remove the old Navy Depot and make way for a $1.6 million new project that will take private sector investment. Over the years and in partnership with Metroplex, we finally achieved the environmental cleanup at that business park that made way for such great new development there. Over the recent years, and true also for 2024, there will be no greater focus than that which we have on Freeman's Bridge Road redevelopment. Despite the significant obstacles within that corridor, and they remain, we've made tremendous progress and are poised to explode shortly in new development. This coming year, we will invest $5 million, including $3.8 million from grants. This spring, our pedestrian path will begin to be built on Freeman's Bridge Road, eventually connecting Town Center commercial area to the Freeman's Bridge Road corridor. This has been a massive undertaking and greatly enhanced our residents' quality of life while working to spur economic development. We've welcomed new businesses like Metabolic on the north end of Freeman's Bridge Road. We helped secure the redevelopment of Skyway Plaza, also on the north end of Freeman's Bridge Road, and approved a Taco Bell recently to start construction on Freeman's Bridge Road this spring. We received a grant to study the new corridor and to help us attract more investments, and we're currently working hard on the possible redevelopment of the old Lions property, so really stay tuned on that. I can't say more now, but there's a lot of opportunity happening on the corner of Freeman's and Maple. We also stayed vigilant in holding DEC to their promise that they would return to that corridor and finally clean up the Kenco contaminated site. As many of you know, it was my administration that fought and won that commitment from DEC to clean that property up so many years ago when they provided free water hookups to our residents on Sunnyside Road to protect them from the chemical plume. This was a huge win for the town, and now it's time for DEC to finish the job, clean up the property so we can redevelop it. I can go on, but I won't. I will leave early this summer, at which time Deputy Supervisor Bob Kirkham will assume the duties of Town Supervisor. Bob is a great choice for this role, and I couldn't think of anyone better. Bob has 27 years of service to this town as a highway employee. He knows our operations. He knows our employees. And I've had the honor of working with him on the transition to help prepare him for this job. That said, the town is going through some change beyond just my position. Our comptroller has retired. Our DPW commissioner has left. The board is mostly new. Our police department is facing a rash of retirements. These are troubling events, and they have led to some instability in the short term. And as such, I'm committed to stay as long as I need on a limited basis to ensure a smooth and stable transition. I will not leave this town unless it is a smooth and stable transition. Once we have these critical positions filled, we'll know more on my timing. Until then, I remain dedicated to working on your behalf, and we will keep the progress going here in the town of Glenville. Now, it's no doubt we've accomplished much over the years. We created millions in new tax value. We created thousands of jobs. We brought millions of grants to Glenville. We beautified our corridors. We invested in our parks and strengthened our neighborhoods. We built our commercial base. We welcomed new brands. We helped small businesses. We made Glenville the place to be. We made the town more efficient. We enhanced services. We protected the taxpayer. We cut our debt. We protected the fund balance. We never broke the tax cap. And we kept Glenville the lowest tax community in the county. We invested in our seniors, we invested in our first responders, we invested in our youth leagues, and we invested in our community and neighborhoods. We went through COVID together, through historic floods early on, and yeah, we've been through a few bridge strikes, I understand. We celebrated our 200th anniversary together during a pandemic, and we created the region's premier community festival known as Oktoberfest. I need to acknowledge and thank the great staff and the volunteers and community leaders that have joined with me to make our shared vision a reality. There are no better people than the employees of the town of Glenville, and I consider myself honored to have worked alongside them all. They make this town work, and they made my job so much easier. Now, nearly 13 years ago, it must be said, I made a stand. I said that this town needs a full-time supervisor, that the CEO of a $20 million budget with over 100 employees serving 30 residents with core and critical services need to be fully engaged. And today we see what fully engaged has achieved. And there is no argument now. Back then, however, some political types fought. They fought it. They besmirched my character. They tried to make it a different issue than it was. But today there is no argument, and today we are thankful that the residents of Glenville wholly rejected the small minds and tiny thinkers of the time. You see, every day that I came to work since then, I've worked on your behalf. I brought my passion and my ideas and my great love for this community and its people. And tonight, I report to you that I gave this job everything I had. I enjoyed every minute, and I leave greatly humbled. And thank you for the opportunity to have spent my time and energy here and on your behalf. The next chapter is very exciting for me and offers me and my family a great opportunity, and it offers me an opportunity to expand my horizons. But I'll never forget you all gave a Western New York kid a chance. And no matter where I go in the future, Glenville will always be considered my home. So I want to thank you very much. Thank you for being here.